Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on learning how to participate in a Zoom meeting. This session is run by the NHS Nottingham and Nottinghamshire Clinical Commissioning Group, who commission health services across the city and county, and we are working in partnership with Connected Nottinghamshire to be able to deliver this. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague Rosie, who will explain a little bit more about the work that Connected Nottinghamshire are involved with.
Hi, thanks Sasha. So I'm Rosie and I work for Connected Nottinghamshire, which is the digital transformation programme that works across Nottingham and Nottinghamshire integrated care system. And I particularly work on a project that supports our patients and residents improve their digital skills and confidence to be able to start using technology to improve completely sort of aspects in their lives, really. So that's my involvement with this Zoom meeting today.
Thank you, Rosie. Brilliant. So just some general housekeeping. When you first log on to Zoom, you should see a bottom toolbar that looks very similar to this. It may look slightly different if you are on a device, say, such as your phone or a tablet, but in general, you should have a toolbar that looks a lot like this that will allow you to select different functions that you need to be able to participate in a Zoom meeting. So the session today is going to cover quite a few of the different functions that you can use as a participant, and we will go into more detail regarding each of these in the coming kind of slides. So firstly, we have the video function. So ordinarily, when you log into Zoom, you should have the option of whether you'd like to join with or without your video on. You do have the option once you are in the meeting to either turn your video on or your video off. And you can do this by clicking the camera button that can be found in that bottom toolbar. And you'll know your video is off if it has a red line going diagonally across through it. Again, if you're wanting to turn your video back on, you just have to click that button again and the red line will disappear and your video will come on. So you will be visible at that point to everyone else in the meeting. If your video is off, you won't be seen, but you will still be able to see other people. Similarly, we also have the microphone button, and what the microphone button allows you to do is to be heard by other people in the meeting. So if you'd like to talk and if you'd like to be heard, just make sure that your microphone button is on, and you'll know it's on because it won't have a red line going across through it. If you'd like to turn it off, if you don't want to be heard, you just press that button and a red line will appear through the microphone symbol, and that's how you'll know that your microphone's off. So other people won't be able to hear you, but you will still be able to hear others. Next, we have a chat function, and you can find the chat function to access chat messages that other people are sending, and you can also use it to send messages yourself. And it looks a lot like a speech bubble that can be found in your bottom toolbar again. If your bottom toolbar looks a bit different and instead you have 3 dots that look like this, it may be that you need to click on those 3 dots and it will open up a facility that you're able to then select chat and input your chat. So once you've clicked on chat, you will get a tab that opens up that looks very similar to this one here on the right. And you can input your message and then click enter, and that will automatically send to everyone in the group. Once you're done with that, once you no longer wish to see messages that are coming through, or if you no longer wish to send any messages, you can just go ahead and click on the drop down arrow that's at the top of your screen, and it will give you the option to close. So when you close it, it will just close that chat function, and you can reopen it in the way that you initially opened up the chat, whether it's through the chat bar at the bottom of your toolbar or whether it's the 3 dots that you need to click on. Next, if you are a participant in Zoom, you can raise your hand. People typically kind of use this function to notify the facilitators that they want to speak. So you can access this by clicking on the participants button, which looks like the outline of two people. And once you've clicked on that, you'll have an option to raise your hand that will appear in the bottom right hand of your screen. So once you've clicked on that raise hand button, you should see a blue hand that appears next to your name on the participants list. So for example, you can see here participant 1, which is myself, and you can see a blue hand next to my name, which is how you know that my hand is raised. If you wish to lower your hand, you can again go ahead and click on the lower hand button that can be seen in the bottom of your screen, and the blue hand should then at that point disappear. To then just close the window to no longer raise or lower your hand, you can again click on the drop down arrow and click the close tab, which will close that entire section for you. Again, you can use this way, so you can click on the participants button if you want to see if others have their hands raised. So just clicking on the participants button and just looking for a blue hand next to anyone's name will tell you if someone has their hand raised and if they wish to talk. Reactions. So some people use reactions within meetings to just express how they're feeling without necessarily sending chat. And you can access reactions in your bottom toolbar again by clicking on the button that looks a bit like a smiley face emoji. If you are on a different device, it may be the case that you have to click on the button with 3 dots, which will then bring up a selection of reactions. And these reactions might look something like hands clapping or a thumbs up. And once you selected the reaction that you wish to share, it will appear in your video box in the top left hand of the screen, and that will be visible to everybody else that's in the meeting. That reaction will then disappear by itself after a couple of seconds. So just to make it clear that the reactions will be visible to everyone else in the meeting. Video layout. So there are a couple of different options that you have in being able to see participants and others within the meeting. So you have the options to change the view. So ordinarily, you will be on something called a gallery view. And what the gallery view allows you to do is to be able to see everyone who is in a meeting, or multiple people rather, who are in a meeting on the same screen. Obviously, if there are a lot of people in the meeting, it may be a case that you will have kind of 2 screens and you have to flick back and forth between them to see everybody in the meeting. But generally, you should be able to see everyone on one screen. Now, if you wish to change your view, you can do so, and you can do that by clicking the View button in the top right-hand corner. So by clicking on the View button, what will happen is that it will produce a drop-down menu. From the drop-down menu, you should see that Gallery View has been ticked, and that's how you'll know that you're in Gallery View. You can then change to Speaker View by clicking on the Speaker View button. And what will happen in Speaker View, your screen will look like this. So in Speaker View, only the person who is talking at that moment in time will appear as a large central image, and the other participants may appear as smaller icons at the top of the screen. So again, with participant view, you can see the main person who's talking, but not necessarily all the time everyone else in the meeting. Whereas with a gallery view, you should be able to see multiple people who would be of the same size icon within the meeting. And again, if you wish to change back to gallery view from the speaker view, you can do so by clicking on the View button and then selecting Gallery View, and that will take you back to this view where you can see majority of people again. If you don't have this View button, It may be that you have a button that looks similar to this one, which looks like a grid. And this might be on the left-hand side of your screen as opposed to the right-hand side of your screen. It just depends on the device that you're using at that moment in time. Should you wish to share screen at any point during a meeting, you'd firstly have to make sure that you have permission to share screen from the host, and the host can normally allow you or grant you permission to be able to do that. And once you have the option to share screen, you can click on the share screen button, which looks like this green button that has an arrow pointing upwards through it. So by clicking on this button, what will happen is it will provide you with a range of options that you can choose from, so a range of different screens that you have open. If you are wanting to share a presentation or if you are wanting to share a document, you will have to make sure that the document is open beforehand on your device, so you are able to share this. And what will happen is that once you've selected share screen, that document will appear and you can select the appropriate screen that you wish to share, and it will then be shared across everyone's screen, so that's everybody who's in the meeting. So if you select the screen, just click share, everyone in the meeting will be able to see that screen. And if at any point you decide you'd want to stop sharing screen, you will have a toolbar that appears like this, which lets you know that you are sharing screen, and it also has the option to stop sharing. So by clicking on that stop share button, you will automatically stop sharing screen and people will no longer be able to look at the document or the presentation that you were initially sharing. And finally, you have the option to leave a meeting at any point in time as a participant. And you can do this by finding the leave button, which is a red button in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And by clicking on this button, you'll have the option to then leave the meeting. If you leave the meeting, it does not necessarily mean that the meeting will end for everybody. It just means that you have left that meeting. So thank you for listening and watching this video. We hope you found it useful and insightful. And if you require any other further support in learning how to participate in a meeting or wish to gain any clarification on anything, please do get in touch with the Get Knots Connected digital support line, and the number is 0115 883 8873. You can also access the Zoom Help Centre, which has a bank of resources and with different questions and different kind of guides on things and functions within Zoom. So thank you for listening, and we hope you found this useful.